Welcome to the Stoic Campfire. In history, a campfire offers rest and solace. In our modern, fast-paced world, we oftentimes need places we can sit and ponder. Please take a seat and ponder as long as you'd like. Today's episode is on self-worth. What is self-worth? Have you, as an individual, ever felt worthless? Have you ever felt like there's no meaning to life? Have you ever felt like there isn't a point to all of this? Well, I do have some good news for you, which is that is a very normal human struggle. If you're currently going through that, or you currently feel like that, the good news is many people have. And that allows you to know that other people have made it through it, and as a result, you will too. Now, to go into the basic question of what is self-worth, it is very simply the way that we look at ourselves. Do we value ourselves? Do we see us as meaning something? From a simple perspective, self-worth is very, very important. It's important because it allows us to have confidence. It allows us to know who we are. But also, it's important because realistically, what is the alternative to having self-worth? The alternative to having self-worth is not having self-worth. And this alternative hurts a lot of people. It hurts oneself, it hurts the people around them, but most importantly, it hurts our future. One person may hear this and say, well, that's very true. I'm glad to know how damaging it is, but how do I fix it? What's the deal? How do I know that I as an individual have value? From a Christian perspective, we know that we have value simply because God created us. We know that from Scripture, God created mankind with the sole purpose of loving us. He gave us all very different abilities and attributes so that we can work together as a team. Someone may hear this and say, okay, that's very fascinating, but I need something more than that. From the Bible, we know that God expresses His love prolifically for mankind, expresses His love prolifically for every single one of us. One of the most famous verses of the Bible that every single person probably knows by heart is John 3:16. In that verse it states, "For God so loved the world that He gave His one and only Son, and that who shall ever believe in Him shall not perish but have everlasting life." The very much so less known John 3:17 follows that up with, "And Christ came into the world not to condemn the world, but so that we may be redeemed through Him." In that set of verses, it explains quite honestly the entire picture of God's care about us, because He simply loves us. Now, understanding love is very difficult for many of us. Some of us come from homes where we are only loved because we did what our parents told us to do, or we were only loved because we did something that really impressed our mom or our dad or our sister. This is not the type of love that God provides to us. The love that God provides to us actually has a Greek word, the Greek word being agape. Agape pretty much translating to unconditional. God provides us love in a way that basically means regardless of what we do right or what we do wrong, He will always love us. And in turn, if we always ask for forgiveness, He will always forgive us. I would say from a purely religious perspective, that's a great reason to have value in ourselves, because God sees a value in us. And considering He is our creator, that means essentially the one that designed us the exact way that we are, made us that way for a specific reason and gave us a specific value. I would say from a religious perspective, that is more than enough. However, if you're listening to this and maybe you're not so religious, maybe you have qualms with the church, maybe you have problems with the way that people of faith look at things, then lucky for you, there's also a very good Stoic perspective on this that also provides a very good mirrored view. In Stoicism, we practice the idea of amore fati. This basically means to love one's fate. Rather than looking at everything around us as misfortune or as being awful or as being terrible, we are able to look around at it and say, hey, this may not be the best, but it was given to me to teach me a lesson. Maybe we're not as fast as we'd like to be. Okay, maybe that was an obstacle that was given to you by fate so that you could learn to become faster, or so that you could realize that you have other attributes that you're very good at. Maybe instead of asking yourself, why am I not taller? Why am I not faster? Why am I not smarter? Rather, taking what has been given to you, loving it, and using it to the best of your ability. Love the hand that fate deals you, and play it as if it was your own. For what could be more fitting? Marcus Aurelius. To reinforce this idea, we ought to love our fate. You were made exactly the way you're supposed to be, and as a result, you were given very specific challenges to overcome, all for the sake of making you the best you that you can be. In turn, when you become the best you that you can be, you can help the people that you love and care about just as effectively. To reinforce exactly what I was speaking on, we ought to value ourselves for very specific reasons. We have two separate reasons that we covered in this podcast. The first one is because God valued us. He sent his son to die for us, and he went through great sacrifices to show us his love. He created us for no other reason than for us to be loved. The second reason is because it is required for us to grow and for us to help those around us. If we are able to love our fate, we are able to love what is given to us, even if it's not the best, we are able to change our perspective. If we are able to change our perspective and look at life in a much more positive outlook, that's contagious. Attitudes of any kind are contagious. If you have a very positive outlook on life, the people around you will start to have a much more positive outlook on life. If you have a negative outlook on life, it'll start to impact those around you. If you can change your perspective to see that every single misfortune that is brought to you is actually good fortune, your life will change. Your perspective will change. The best way to explain it is the lighting in your play, so to speak, will become brighter. It is very important for us to remember life ultimately is what we choose to make of it. Our perspective defines everything. If we choose to look at things in a negative light, life will be negative. But if we choose to look at things in a positive light and remember the good things about us, the good attributes about us, the good, actions and experiences about us, life becomes better. I challenge you this week, while listening to this, rather than focusing on all the negative things going wrong in your life, take a step back and think about the things you're thankful for. Think about the things that you're good at. Think about the attributes that you have that you would be upset if you didn't have them. There's a famous quote by Marcus Aurelius. Reckon up the chief of your praises, the chief of your desires, and think how sorrowfully upset you would be if they were not your own. The best way to explain this is if we think about everything we're good at, we think about our abilities, how upset would we be if we didn't have them? Maybe if someone else had them and we didn't. We often get sucked into this grass is always greener on the other side. We get sucked into the questions of why am I not taller? Why am I not faster? Rather than saying, I'm thankful I'm short. I'm thankful I'm slower. I'm thankful that I do this better than other people. My challenge for you today is change your perspective for just the next week and see how it impacts your life. Thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next episode.